I'm here with,
Letecia Dolores.
okay, Letecia Dolores. Let me know like who you are, what you do, what you got going on, girl.
So I am a what do I'm still discovering what I want to call myself.
Yes.
Honestly, it's normally I say devised theater artist, but I am a cultural archivist. I'm a storyteller. I am a gatherer. I unite intergenerational people together. So yeah, ultimately it's telling the stories of my community. My most recent project that I've been working on is Portals of Knowing. Portals of Knowing is an immersive experience, an immersive Black experience. With creating and writing it, I was getting a lot of inspiration from the community, and in Cleveland, especially, we have a lot of trauma. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of hurt, but it's also a lot of joy. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of, because I went through so much, I'm going to show up how I want to show up. And I wanted to make sure that we leaned more on that energy of, because I went through so much, I'm going to take up space how I want to, because I deserve that and I can be free. That's the energy that we created Portals of Knowing with. And Portals of Knowing was really myself thinking about, if you're an audience member coming to see something, and I do believe storytelling and theater is life-changing.
Right. It's therapeutic for sure.
Yes. And I don't want people to just come and look. Like, come and be a part of it. Come and share. Come
so it's
and
very
take
interactive.
Space. Very interactive. So as soon as the audience come in, you are converted from the audience member to cousin. You are a cousin throughout the whole experience. You have to help clean up the house too, because you're there.
And do.
And you playing the games, but then it's also the unpacking of like, what is our family stories that we should hold on to, that power, that joy, that fly, that we should hold on to, and then what are some things that we need to like let go, or to change into compost? Because I don't think anything that we experience is something that's like, oh, just trash it and just like disown from it.
I
but
love
to
that.
kind of
Turn
like
to compost.
like just plant it, let it compost, let it break down so that it can end up nourishing the next thing.
Oh, girl, I love that. What is the most wildest or unexpected place that you found inspiration for all of the things that you do?
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good one.
It is a good one. Thank you.
Yes. So as a devised theater artist, so devised mean you work without a script all the time. It's just you look around, you get inspiration, and then it's like, okay, now I'm writing. Recently, most of my inspiration has been coming out of people complaining, and myself included, about kids not cleaning up. And
oh, that's right.
The whole thing of not having a clean house, because that was actually like the pivotal moment in Portals of Knowing, the mom coming home and her house not together. But how many layers of why that's frustrating, like what have I just left from the outside world and to come home and it's not together the way that I need it to be together.
Right.
And like, we all know in the house what each person is kind of going through, so at the least can we do this thing so that everything else can kind of just like flow and happen, especially if I communicated what I needed.
Right.
So and then just hearing that a lot, like that's the thing I feel like every parent was dealing with throughout.
Same. Right now I'm dealing with it.
Yeah, right. Like, didn't I ask you? This is the thing. This is what we do every day, every week. And I also like to people watch. And just like taking in of knowing that everybody is kind of like on their own journey, getting to places, coming and going. And so and then also like folk tales. I love reading folk tales. So I have a lot of books that are folk tales, fairy tales, from the African diaspora. So whether it's African American folk tales, West Africa, stuff from South America, I just like taking in as many folk tales as I can, and then just seeing how like the folk tales reflect our day-to-day interactions.
Right. Well. How does that apply to what's happening? And this has happened before, and this is the story of it, type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. If you had to describe your art style using only 3 pop culture references, what would they be and why?
So it's
Yes.
one that I'm like, I'm a hold because it's leading to other things. But I will say Nina Simone for sure. Just how the classical music, and if anybody really studies piano and like how she plays and how she really wants to do classical, but like she ended up making her own lane by still being true to who she is.
Right.
And like, and in the most beautiful way, she like niggified classical music.
Yes.
So it's like that for sure. Pentecostal church.
Yes, praise.
Yes. So it's the whole, and how Pentecostal, you don't really know when you're going to get out. You don't know when it's just like spirit move you. Yes.
Them hats.
Yes. Having the structure within the looseness of it all. And even just the whole history of Pentecostal that most people don't be wanting to tap into, but like hoodoo gatherings is also connected to the Black church, especially Pentecostal church. Yes, all of that. And then the third one, I like the first thing that comes to mind is hot comb.
Okay.
The hot comb.
Yes. I've dealt with some burns.
Yes.
From that hot comb, baby.
Yes.
That kitchen.
Yes. And how, like, regardless of how you have your hair now or what you do, it's still something about that hot comb that is just like, oh, this is home.
And then there were some of us that dealt with the hot comb on the stove, and then there were some of us that dealt with the hot comb that they plugged in when the technology started to get in good. Right. Now, Letecia, if your art could speak for itself, what's the one message that it will say, not to just Cleveland, but to the world?
Ooh, there's a line in the show, my unhealed parts are tender. And it acts like, take it easy on me because I fight. So my unhealed parts are tender, take it easy because I fight.
I know that's right.
And and I think that is what my art says a lot of, like, I do have, just like we all do, we have these areas that are unhealed. We have these things that we're working through, we're navigating. And you do want grace, and you do want people to like be mindful of it, especially when it's certain things that we all have to experience. Like as Black women, it's certain stuff we all have to experience. Growing up in Cleveland, it's certain things that we all have experienced, and we all have certain wounds that kind of reflect one another. And we lose the sense of grace, but also like, I can give you grace, but I'm also gonna hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
And so that's the I fight part. Like I can be easy, and I understand that we all going through something, but like, don't habitually like keep poking.
Yeah, there's a balancing act there. Yeah. And it's not like 40-20, it's 50-50, but there's a limit too. Because I'm not going above 100%, honey. Yeah. I love that.
So I'm like, all of my work goes into these like ancestral wounds. I think even other plays that I've done before, it always goes into how these ancestral wounds is showing up on a day-to-day basis, and how we are interacting with each other wounds, and figuring out how do I get healing, and knowing too, like when some people don't want to, and that don't have nothing to do with me, and I don't need to force nothing.
Absolutely.
And I also know that I need space to be able to feel and experience, and so do everyone else. So it's just that whole thing of knowing that a lot of the times the stuff we clashing with is beyond just the two people. It's so many other stories and layers that's elements around it.
Last question. What you want to talk about?
I really protecting work, because even like how I feel like I've been looking up and seeing things being duplicated from what I have been doing, from what I have been sharing. And as an artist, like I want to protect my work, and the fact that like I keep to myself.
You do.
I keep to myself.
You kind of popping out, you know what I'm saying? While still having experience in the work. And but that speaks a lot to the what is it? I have unhealed wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And
they tender.
I'll beat your ass.
Yeah,
oh, well, that too, both.
Yes,
seriously.
Yes, because
seriously.
It's that part of me that has been activated at the surface. And I'm like, y'all, this is why I be over here. Because I grew up learning to stand up for myself. I didn't always stand up for myself.
Right.
I didn't always advocate for myself. I wasn't always advocated for.
Yeah.
And then I had to learn to do that. And so when someone is stealing, when someone is sharing false information, like things like that, I have a hard time taking the higher road and being quiet.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you said that, because I think the issue, more specifically in Cleveland, is everyone thinks that taking the higher road and being quiet is the solution, when it really adds to the problem, because there are real life tyrants out here. And ain't nobody, people are not holding them accountable. So I guess my question I would want to ask is, how do we as a collective, and I'm specifically talking about here in Cleveland, but will go beyond, how do we, and regardless of Cleveland, in areas of creative spaces that are supposed to be safe, when they become unsafe because there are either vultures within or vultures that are not within, but they're working in collaboration with someone that is in the safe space. How do we hold that person or those people or that group accountable? And like, how do we move forward, right? Like, what does that look like? Because a lot of, there are, there's the TAF, so to speak. You got a TAF. Congratulations. There was a lot of there's a lot of harm and turmoil that TAF caused because of who was chosen, how they were chosen, and the lack of transparency. So what does that, how do we hold these people accountable collectively? Because it takes one to start it, but it takes so many of us to support. And shout out to Walt Panton, and shout out to Davon Brantley. Who's been on the show, who I've featured both.
I think it's the thing of any form of accountability requires communication. So when you know that there's this offense happening, but then we're choosing to be silent, it's just feeding and adding on to it. I think the rollout of everything needed to be more open. I think it's also the thing of being honest of like, this was a big experiment.
Absolutely.
It was an experiment from the city. And I feel like the city communicated some, but didn't want to really lean into the fact like, we are experimenting and we don't really know. And then trying to figure out how do we get or collect the feedback in a way with enough time to actually implement whatever the feedback. Because once there was feedback coming through, we were so much in the thick of everything too, that it was done all which way. And a lot of us don't even know how to communicate in the regular settings, let alone where I have to like be this person and I have this title that I'm representing or this other thing outside of myself that I'm supposed to be representing. Because that was even the thing with TAF for me. Like, I'm supposed to represent TAF, but it's like, I'm still just Letecia. And I know where I come from. I know my beliefs and my thoughts, and I'm not going to disregard them because I'm also part of this TAF. Now, the TAF has to also align with the fact that, like, this is me. Like, if I got the award, this is what I represent. And there wasn't enough protection and guidance, I think, as a collective. But again, because it was an experiment, it was all a huge experiment.
Do you think it would have been better for the TAF to just be more inclusive and transparent about that information? Like, hey, we're building this as we go. However, these are the guidelines. This is what we do know. And there are things we also don't know. And I think there was a lot of mistakes, maybe some that weren't necessarily mistakes, maybe some were intentional, as far as who, you have a multimillionaire that received a TAF, and then you have several groups of phenomenal artists who had phenomenal projects and campuses and stories that would have been sustainable beyond a basketball court. I'm not going to say no shade because
my thing is, even when all of that was happening, like you said, there's all these other artists who got the grant, and I don't feel like the other artists got the light and the appreciation of what they have been doing, because in Cleveland too, we lean, I mean, as humans, it's not even just as humans, people lean towards what's negative. It's easier to talk about things that are negative or that's bringing strife versus like the things that are positive.
That's true.
And it was frustrating even on my end as somebody that's tapped, as somebody who was in Ward 5, saying Ward 5 with my whole chest from the very beginning and throughout.
From the start.
Yeah. The things that happened with that, and even having to check myself about my own territorialness.
Right.
Because I felt territorial because I'm like, this is my roots. This is where I grew up.
And your institution partner with CMHA, which is in Ward, right on Kansas.
Yeah. And I was a CMHA resident when I was growing up.
Oh wow.
My mama, my grandmama, my great grandmama. So it's like it's generations of stories connected to my bloodline directly.
Yes.
Just like, and then in all honesty, all of Cleveland bloodline goes through Central in some kind of way.
Facts, yep.
That's where we were for the Black migration. So yeah, if in the beginning when we first got the grant, I would have loved for us to really had the opportunity to share with everybody what our plan was in the very beginning, which was on the agenda, but it just didn't happen for whatever reason. And I think from it being silent from July until February, it gives room for idle minds.
Right.
Like, what is going on? What is y'all doing?
Right.
And I mean,
it's such a huge, that's a huge thing.
Yes.
That is a huge thing. And I think artists had never had the chance to experience, had access to that amount of funding, which is awesome. And even beyond the funding, the opportunity in itself is just amazing.
Yeah.
So of course, that's going to be the forefront. So I think, having a more inclusive and transparent process, it's just vital. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
And I think a lot of people like Walt Patton and like Davon Brownlee received pushback, which was really unfair, because I do appreciate those Black men for standing up, just because they're embedded in community.
Yeah.
And there was a comment made in response to both of those gentlemen about crabs in a barrel. And that is that's classist.
Yeah.
That is rooted in the structure of white supremacy, because who put us in the scuds and barrel?
Right.
But to respond to people saying, hey, what's going on and what's the process, and saying, oh, people got to stop being crabs in a barrel, or whatever the technical things, the language was. It's just like, why not respond in a way? I hear you. I understand. Can we have a conversation? And they tried to plan a conversation around that. People are trying to have those conversations of accountability, not just with TAF, but just in general. But then there's pushback because people don't want to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And that's
the
problem.
thing. You don't want to just be talking to talk, because it's like, am I talking to just express and say the words? Am I talking because I want something structurally to change? And then it's like, do we even know the TAF is going to happen again?
Right.
Because this was something that was made out of funds through COVID. So then it becomes is more of a vehicle that needs to be created. And I do hope that in the end of all of this, because we are going to all be downtown, and we're going to all talk about our project in October. At the end of October, it's supposed to be at the Rotunda. So hopefully it's supposed to be, and I can double check. I'm going to double check. But I know we are all preparing to tell our stories. And I'm looking forward to it in the sense of, I was deep in my artistic bag for this. And I was also feeling challenged of like, how much of this is supposed to be me just being an artist, or me being like a community entity.
Yes.
Because it's like, I'm being asked for my art, and my art does require me to be focused in like these rehearsals. And I'm spending all of this time with this ensemble, and we're building and we're crafting. And how do I also open it up enough for the community? And then I'm putting stuff out there for the community, but then it's like, who's showing up?
Right.
And then even with people saying stuff about other things, it's like, I've been having this since October. And like y'all gather for these things, like why can't we gather to be supportive? But again, everybody is in their own journeys and things. And even with the TAF grant, not only was I dealing with being included in stuff because I'm just a TAF awardee. So like when things are being said about anybody, it is coming back.
You automatically on, like, looped in. Right.
And it's like, oh, and you one of them. And even how like a lot of people didn't know who I was. So even early on when I got the grant, I would be out and I would hear people talking about it and talking about me.
Meanwhile, they don't know you there.
Right. And I know who I am.
Watch yourself.
So I was like, okay. And then even having like on the internal side of like people who are close to me, how that does, it triggers jealousy.
Yeah.
So then it's like, I got people close to me in the intimate circle of my life that is not feeling like they're celebrating me. And then also feeling like in the outside world it's not really celebration. And so I had to really make sure I isolated myself from that noise. Because it is easy to fall into, especially when it feels like it's coming from both sectors.
And I must say, because I'm a mother, and I do in this work, you're a mother as well. And like you have a small one, a tiny one too. Yeah. So in the midst of this, that baby was even tinier. And like I admire you, your tenacity, your resilience, and how just ultra creative you are. You know what I'm saying? Because I know these things are tough. I know it because I've been in there, and just understand you're an inspiration to me, sis. Truly.
I appreciate that because it's real. Because I'm like going through this postpartum. My son will be 2 in October, and it was even when we first got the grant, and I was talking to some people, and they're like, "Oh, your son gonna be walking," because he wasn't even walking yet, and I'm like, "It is like he will be walking, and he will be like a whole nother version of himself next summer compared to that summer." And then like my daughter was graduating from high school because I got 18. So it's like I'm doing prom, graduation, getting her, she's turning 18. I'm also being triggered at all of the stuff because like I got pregnant my senior year and like having to have these conversations with her of like, I'm having a hard time letting you go places because I'm worried because of my own mess, but I know that that's mine, and I'm trying to be open because my unhealed parts and all of this stuff. So it was constantly being tested on so many different levels, and I think like the hoopla of like what people are talking about in regards to what they liked about the bigger picture of TAF was so small to me.
It was just like a little false spot.
And I was trying to keep it at that too, because it was like at least like 2 weeks where it felt bigger, and I felt like, oh my God, I'm in, and I'm like, wait a minute, this don't got nothing to do with me. No, thank you. And then looking at my own situation and just being like, I have to make choices here, because if somebody is in my intimate circle, I have to be able to move with trust and being able to talk openly, especially because I'm trying to figure out so many different things. I have to be able to be vulnerable. That was big with the cast. Even when we had disagreements within stuff of how we created the piece, there was an individual who was able to share all they thoughts, they feelings, their opinions on things. And I appreciated it because I'm like, I still need the feedback so I know how I'm moving forward. And I know what I can like take on and stuff to be like, okay, that's not my weight, but maybe like this part of it is. And I think leading with that of like, there's always opportunity to learn. Nobody is perfect. I know how much I'm balancing, how much I fought, how I put so much into my project and into the people who came into the space for the project. That to me, like it wasn't possible for it to be bad. Because I knew my intention was clear throughout. And I was always open to learn, and I will continue to do that because I'm like that's always the saving grace.
Absolutely,
I don't know everything. I know a lot though, so you can't play me. Like I know a lot. but I might not know everything.
Yeah.
And knowing that we all can offer something.
We all can offer something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just figuring out what is really community for us. What is really the artistic community here too. Because we still figuring it out beyond the clicks, beyond who we used to. Like, how do we get acquainted to new people? How do we create these new projects with integrity and just with integrity.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing not just your testimony, but your processes and your just abundance of knowledge and love with me. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace and love, everybody. Thank you.
This is Street Story Media.